Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our YouTube webinar series. For the discussion today, the topic will be on Research 101, Strengthen Your RRLs. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions in the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to all our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal! And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Gil Gerald Fuentes is a communication arts graduate from Colegio de San Juan de Letran. He has over 10 years of experience in digital marketing, brand management, and marketing communications. He also has over 7 years of experience in research and as a research speaker. He has published a research paper entitled The Perception on Indie Films of Selected Intramuros-Based Audiences in International Journal of Social Science and Humanity in year 2015 and was able to publish a book entitled A Further Look on Independent Films, A Realistic Depiction of Society in year 2016. Fuentes is also associated with Climate Reality, Unite 2030, and World Merit Organization for his advocacy in SDG 13 climate action. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Mr. Gil Gerald Fuentes.
Thank you, Jill, for that introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. So let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, so good afternoon again, everyone. So for today's discussion, as Jill mentioned, basically it is about research. And when we talk about research, the key to it is to have like the basis of it, like what are the things or the journals or the academic books that we are referring to or serve as an inspiration, a guide, and basically the testament to the research article or the research paper that we would be doing. So that's why I am discussing the RRLs or the reviewing of related literature because we often times believe that RRLs are often times the most difficult to really attend to, and at the same time it needs a lot of effort, especially on compiling, researching, and making sure that you find the right uh, papers and journals that would really help your research paper. So research, citation, sources, RRL. So these are the top keywords that we see or look if we are looking or if we are starting our research. So basically, our research works are really important nowadays, especially to those students who are taking a research communication subject or courses, because research is oftentimes being asked by the professor or your instructor, how do you see your research or how do you feel creating a research on this article or on this topic? And students and those people who are in this subject are finding it really difficult or sometimes having a hard time getting a lot of information that is needed to the subject because it really requires that much effort. But for me, it is something that you should be finding joy, especially on looking for the information or making sure that the topic that you are wanting to do a research or to check on is something that would really interest you and something that would be beneficial not just for you but of course to the industry or to the niche that you want to serve or to create a journal or a research part. So, of course, when you do research, citations are oftentimes there. Citations are really important because it is the one that prove proves that your research is legitimate, and at the same time it is you have a basis to the things that you are saying on your research paper. So when we have citation, of course we have the sources. So the sources are the very key on creating a very reliable and a very distinguished RRL, in a sense that you have this journals or this articles or this primary sources that you would use to make sure that your research is authenticated, you have a basis, and it is something that has been proven by somebody else in the past. And you are doing a research because there is a study already, or there is different uh, proofs or different hypotheses that has been created and onto this one, and you want to test it, or you want to provide a deeper level of research to those previous articles that has been done. So citation and research. So a citation is a formal reference, a published or unpublished source that you consulted and obtained information from while writing your research paper. So basically, when we do cite a certain article or a certain phrase or an element that was being written by one of the authors, it is being part of our sources. Being this sources, usually it is a part of the references guide or the reference section of your thesis or dissertation. So of course, sources, when you have a lot of sources, definitely it serves as the foundation of your research. Because when you see, when a professor or an instructor asks you, like, get something that would prove your sentiment for this topic. So basically, you won't just be providing one or two sources. Definitely, you would be researching a lot, because when you have like one or just one or two or like five sources, oftentimes your research is being known to be weak, and it has not a lot of basis, so that you can provide a further foundation to this research topic, because the foundation or the sources are thin and it is weak. So definitely your professor or instructor would mention that you need to look for more sources, or you should have like a lot more references to this topic that you want to research on. So that's why, especially on topics like that are very niche, there are really a little number of research articles that is being written, or that could serve as your source. So that's why our professor or our instructor mentioned are telling us that we should look for a topic that has a lot of researches already, so you won't have like a hard time finding for RRL. That is why most students or most people doing their research, they are doing it for the sake that they just want to finish the research. They just want to look for a topic that has a lot of researches already, or has a lot of previous writings already. So when we say previous writings, these are academic journals that are published already. So that's why they won't have a hard time looking for references that they would use for this research that they would be doing. So because the second element that our professor or instructor usually mentioned to us is look for a topic that is close to your heart, or is something that is interest, that you would be interested. So it is something that you want to do, because you won't have like a hard time doing this research, because you would be enjoying the things that you are doing, because this is something that you want to look at. This is something that you want to research on. So it is simply like your favorite, for example, favorite movie. Like you want to search of, okay, what has been the foundation, or what has been the prior synopsis, what has been the inspiration for this movie to be created. So what has been their step-by-step process. Maybe it is on the screenplay, or how they created the people around it, like the production design, the people who are doing the project management, the location. So basically, you would be interested to that. So that is something that that is just an example that if you really want to do a research on a certain thing or a certain level, that topic should be of interest to you, so that you won't have a hard time. So that is the second piece. You would be lucky enough if a research topic that you want to really deep dive in has a lot of research articles or published research already. You won't have a hard time looking for these sources. So basically, the foundation of your research would be strong enough to stand on its own because you have like a lot of sources. So sometimes during my previous talk, they are asking me what is the enough number of RRLs or enough number or sources that is needed for a certain a research paper or dissertation to stand in. So actually, my answer it really depends on the topic. It really depends uh, on the nature or the niche of this topic. But for sometimes for social science, it is safe to say, especially if you're a student, maybe a college student, it is safe to say that you should have like at least 20 topics or 20 published articles that would serve as your primary source. Because when you have this 20 topics or 20 articles that is the basis of your research, I could say that you are safe. But you would be safe, but these topics should be related or should support the main topic or the main keywords that you want to prove on your research. So sometimes there is a subject or there is a time wherein you are reviewing this RRLs or this research papers that you mentioned that would help your research. So basically, your instructor or your professor would really check on it one by one just to make sure that it is something related to the research that you want to push forward with. So it is, of course, a really tedious job, but it would really help your research paper to stand in. So if you are a masteral or a doctorate degree, usually 40 to 50 references is like a bare minimum for you to really make this topic a good one, make this topic to stand alone. Because especially you are in the taking masters or taking your doctorate degree. So this is something that your paper would really mean a lot, and this would really stand if there are a lot of references that you would be providing. So of course, as mentioned, when we talk about foundation of research, it is your RRL. So RRL, or Review of Related Literature, is a detailed review of existing literature related to the topic of a thesis or dissertation. In an RRL, you talk about knowledge and findings from existing literature relevant to your topic. So as mentioned earlier, when you do research and when you check on or get on this RRLs, the relevance of it should really be there. When research or when an RRL that you have look on or a source is when you just state it as one of your sources, but then you did not use it because it is not really relevant. So it would be crossed out because this is something that won't help your research to stand in. So when you do search for your resources or your sources, make sure that it is something that would have like an inspiration, or you could mention or state something into that research paper that would be part of your own. So it is simply simple as this is your reference. So when you say reference, it should have an element that is inside your research itself. So basically, one way or another, you would be using some parts of it or some of the key messages that was discussed on this previous research. It should be part of your own research. So it is something that is really difficult, especially for students. Like you have like 20 RRLs on a minimum, and you need to make sure that one way or another you would be using some sort of an element or some sort of keywords from this research going into your research. So the technique there is, of course, sometimes there would be different researches when it, for example, it is 20, but then there are researches like they are saying the same thing, so they are proving a same point. So basically, one way or another, they have gotten their research or their main point or main argument in their own work basically going into another source. So basically, it is like interconnected, and you could definitely mention, like for example, this research paper by A and B are saying this. So basically, you could definitely mention both of them, saying that this is their proof, this is their argument, and this is something that I would want to really tackle on and be part of my research paper. So this is something that you could interconnect and make sure that you would be able to summarize everything, because yeah, 20 is already a lot, especially for students. And when you have like 30, 40 sources, definitely you won't be able to mention everything, every single of it. So make sure that when you do your research, look for that common point that they are saying, and make sure that you would be able to state this work by author A, author B, author C are all the same, and they are saying it, and you would put it on your paper. So usually, it is oftentimes being said that this is a strong point or a strong argument, because you have like a lot of sources, like you have, like for example, two, three, or four articles or published article that are saying the same thing. So definitely the point in your argument on your own research paper, it would really help your case or your paper to stand in as it is. So of course, RRL is simply the process of collecting, selecting, and reading reference materials such as books, journals, reports, and abstract. So basically, these are the some of the sample areas or sample uh, material that you need to look at. May it be a book, may it be a journal, a report, or an abstract. The key there is always it is published, and it has been it has been part of a certain journal that is something that that would have like legitimacy to your work, because sometimes there are articles that are not yet published, or that are not yet what they call this, are not yet in the circulation. So basically, these are the type of article or source that we could maybe classify as a secondary source or a tertiary source, because this is something that is not yet published. When it is not yet published, definitely you may have proven a point on this unpublished research, but the key there is no one is being able to be an put a statement or make sure that this research has been proven, or someone is signaling that they are agreeing on this research. So basically, they would publish your work, especially if they deem that okay, this point is valid. They have this research paper has a lot of references, and definitely this one should be publish, and make sure that other researchers into this field should have an access or be able to view this research that was being sent. So I'm using one of my research paper that Jill mentioned earlier, the perception on indie films of selected intramuros-based audiences. So basically, this is a research that I have created way back, and we have applied it into the International Journal of Social Science and Humanity. Basically, since films are part of a social science. So we have applied it into there. So luckily, it has been published, and they have accepted this paper. So basically, this one is talking about the surge of independent films back then. So of course, the format of our research was IMRAD, or Introduction, Method, Results, and Discussion. So basically, it is a shortened form of the research that we are doing back then. So basically, it is something that I would want my students, or those people that are doing the research. I'm really recommending to have it in the IMRAD format, in a sense that you are summarizing everything, because back then there are researches that would require a lot of pages, but IMRAD is a lot more shorter, concise, and at the same time being straight to the point, that okay, this is the argument that I would want to push forward with, and this is the RRL preview, or the RRL that proves my point, and at the same time, this is the method that I want to use, and this is the result of the research that I have done, and you would be posting the different points that you have done into the research that you have put forward. So I think this is something that the students, and at the same time those people who are doing research would, I could say that it is like a breath of fresh air to them, because it is a lot shorter. It would still require a lot of time, because definitely you have like a lot of sources and you need to really compile it and compress it into the most important details. So still it would require a lot of work, but at the same time it would uh, uh, you would get a lot of your time saved, because it is a much shorter, and you need to just put forward with what is being asked, what is your argument in here, what are your sources for your arguments. So basically, part of that IMRAD is the context of a current research and research hypothesis. So basically, it is just one section on your research paper. So basically, this is something that you would want to uh, really consider as well, because when we do IMRAD, or like for example in any other types of researches, usually the RRL part would really be the longest, because you are putting points in here. So basically, you just need to put forward what is really the main argument that you want to push with, and at the same time make yourself be proven by citing different RRLs research that is being there, making sure that your research is valid. So basically, supporting your argument, and you could actually use several RRLs that is not in agreeing or in accordance to what you are saying, but then you are trying to prove a point, and at the same time being backed up by the researches that has same hypothesis or same result that you want to really get into the paper that you are publishing or working on. So of course, back then I mentioned the citations or references. So basically, it is in the APA format. So I think that has been the most common research, or putting your references in the right order or right pattern. So of course, sometimes there is doing RRLs or doing your research. It is an opportunity for you to find gaps or conflicts in existing literature. So you can also discuss this in your review, and if applicable, how you plan to address this gaps or resolve these conflicts through your study. So this is something that I have mentioned earlier. Like sometimes there is a research that you are not agreeing to it, because uh, maybe the research is quite old and it is not something that is really relevant nowadays. So basically, you want to create another study or a newer study, like, okay, this study has been done, like, for example, in the 2010s. And in the 2010s, maybe this factor A is the most relevant thing, for example, in movies. But now in the 2020s, this is the most important factor. Like an example, Netflix. Netflix is not really a thing back in the early 2010s, and it is something that is not of existence yet. So that's why the number of moviegoers is really vital compared to the number of moviegoers nowadays, because especially we are in the digital era, like everything is in the internet already. So everything is in an application. So aside from Netflix, we have like Disney Plus, we have HBO Max, we have View, or we have like other platforms wherein you would be able to watch a movie or maybe a series as well. So basically, there are other factors, like other sources or other channels wherein you could access the movie. So definitely the research or the number of studies that has been done in the 2010s is not as valid that in the studies that you would be creating in the 2020s, because there are other factors already that you need to consider. So basically, you could argue that okay, in the 2010s, the main source of movies would really be just going to into the movie houses, and then we have like buying the DVDs, VCDs back then. And right now we really don't need those because everything is in the internet. So maybe you just need to download or subscribe to Netflix or other streaming platform, and the movie that you are looking for is in there already. So maybe you could create a study like, okay, so how does this affect our movie industry? So how does this affect the number of people going into the movie? So how is the income of the cinema houses here in the Philippines? So basically, this is something that you would have uh, uh, a, a relevant study, because this is, you are filling out a void. You are filling out something that is uh, not yet being published or not yet being talked about in the 2010s. So definitely it is a good opportunity for you to really put forward a study that would update, like this is the trend in the 2010s, but this is the trend in the 2020s. So this is something that you want to really go for. So of course, when you have the sources already and you have this topic in mind. So now, how can we really strengthen our RRLs, or the way that we would be writing this review of related literature? So of course, first things first, we need to define the topic and the audience. So basically, this is always the main point. Like as mentioned earlier, aside from looking for a research that has a lot of prior studies, you would want to get a topic that's something that is interesting to you. So ideally, you should have come across a series of recent papers related to your line of work or study that fall for a critical summary. So basically, there are two types. So number one is your top of mind interest. So basically, these are the things that you would really want to get study, or you want to research on, because when you are entering a research subject or a research course, definitely you would have something in your mind, because this is your own will of looking for a topic that you want to deep dive in. So definitely you would have like some topics or ideas in mind. So sometimes these ideas you want to cross check in the internet or on your library or on your different journals. Like, okay, so this is the topic of my choosing, so now I would want to check if there are several journals or articles that is written for this topic. So basically, just a simple search on Google or your search engine, you would find a lot of articles, or you would see on the first or second page of this search engines, like, okay, with this topic, there are several journals that is written already. So I think I am in the safe zone. So I think for the initial study, especially when you are just browsing, I think it is safe to have at least 5 to 10 initial researches. So basically, this is just skimming what is on the internet, or maybe if you go to the library, okay, this is something that has several topics already. So for 5 to 10 sources for an initial reading, I think you would be safe. And I think when the time comes that your professor or instructor mentioned that, okay, you can proceed with the topic. So that is the time that if you are really sure for that one, so at least you have like 5 to 10 already, and you just need to fill out the remaining maybe 10 or 15 more studies for this one. So of course, on the other hand, when you have like a topic in mind, then you search over the internet or go to the library, that there are not several topics that is written for this specific research that you want to focus on. So it is a good opportunity for you to think it through, because it is like a double-edged sword. Like we're in, okay, like since there are not uh, much research on this topic, I really want to be one of the pioneers who would be creating a research for this. So I think that is possible. So for me, for that one, it would really be difficult. It might be complicated, but it is, if it is something that is interest of you, and you are really that studious enough or industrious enough to really look for researches or research papers, I think you could push forward to that with that one. And at the same time, since you would be a pioneer, so you would have like a lot of opportunity for you to be, once that your article or your research paper has been published, it is something that more of the students or more people who would want to research on that specific topic, they could cite or they could use your research paper as one of their bases into their research. So I think just to give an example, it is something that has happened to us back then because independent films is just rising on the early 2010s. So basically, when we created the research, there are not a lot of research papers that has been written for independent films. So maybe there are articles that are written, but that is studies from other countries such as Thailand, Singapore, and in the US as well, because they have like a thriving cinema or movie industry already. And I think that has served as a basis for us to really push forward with the study that we want. Like, okay, here in the Philippines, there are not much studies written for independent films. Movies, maybe there are, but for independent films itself, there are less topics that is written already for that one. So I think it is something that is interested for us, and it is something that we would want to really push forward with. So even though we have like a limited number of resources, we push forward with that one. And of course, this would come in handy if you have like a really good relationship with your advisor or your thesis advisor, or you have like mentors or people in the industry that you are actually have connection with. It is a really good opportunity for you to tap that in and use that as a leverage for you to push forward with the study that you want. So the second one is, of course, an important aspect of the field. So that many readers will be interested in the review, and there will be enough material to write it. So that is what I mentioned earlier as well. So when you write a topic that has a lot of resources already, or published journals already, so definitely you are into the loop. You are into the mix that, okay, this is the topic that most people are searching on. So for example, in the field of social sciences, or in the field of algebra, or in the field of engineering. So this is a trend that is being talked about. So maybe sometimes there are topics like which is more effective, A or B, which has been the most impactful for this audiences. Is it A, B, or C? So it is something that continuous studies that is in the loop already. So it is something that you might want to consider, like especially sometimes there are researches like our research. It is like a localized one. So basically we have started like we want to target everything in Metro Manila, but especially if you are just a student, so it would require a lot of course, researches, and it would require a lot of your it would require a lot of efforts into going to several cities. So when we streamline it and make it to Manila, but Manila is still too big as advice, and we then focus on one of the areas in Manila, which is Intramuros, which is our college is in. So basically, we have focus on that one. So when you have localized versions, so I think if someone created a study around Intramuros, then maybe Tondo, then maybe Binondo, so when someone would want to create a study like with the whole of Manila, so he or she has a basis already, like, okay, these are the localized sections in Manila that has a study already. And of course, when there is a study already, definitely they have touched or interviewed several people from these locations. So it would be of help to the new researchers that would come along the way, because there is already a file, or there is already a published journal that would help this researcher to prove his or her point. So of course, the third one is in relation to the second one, a well-defined issue. So otherwise, you could potentially include thousands of publications, which would make the review unhelpful. Be specific as much as possible. So basically with this one, this is something that our audiences would really be interested, especially for example, I mentioned Netflix. So of course, Netflix has been the sole streaming platform like in the late 2010s, and but now in the 2020s, there is other streaming platform that is coming along the way. So such as the HBO Max, we have also Disney Plus, so Hulu. So these are all originated in the US. So basically, it is slowly being acquired by different countries already. So in no time, all of these platforms will be present in the Philippines too. So this is something that, of course, that we want to check on, make sure okay, so is Netflix would still be the main source of streaming platform. So how is the quality of Netflix shows nowadays? Especially, this is just the main source of streaming that we have here in the Philippines. So this is something that we would want basically to consider. So second one is, of course, as mentioned, cite your source as well. So to undertake an RRL, we need to identify relevant literature. You can do this through various sources, online and offline. So as mentioned, you could look for several journals that are published online, and if you want to go to the library, so especially nowadays, students are just at home, or they are creating their research papers at their home, at the comforts of their home. So offline sources would really be difficult for them nowadays. So that's why we really need to check on this or utilize this online sources more. So once we have the sources, I always say, may it be a relevant one or not, may it be considered as your primary, secondary, or just maybe a source or a reference for the study that you are creating. So just save it. So one way or another, it is something that would be helpful or might be beneficial to your study. So I think I always say to the students or the people that I'm working with that just save all of the things that you think that is related or would serve get an importance to the study that you are working on. So I always mention that you need to just save all your files. So just review it on a later date, especially when you are just scrolling and making sure like you are quantifying these research sources already. So ensure you are saving all applicable resources because you will need to mention them in your paper. So as mentioned, when going through these resources, make notes of and identify key concepts of each resource to describe in the review. So basically, this is something that is important that I mentioned a while ago. Wherein if study A, study B, study C are saying the same thing, group them. So basically, make sure to get the point at what they are proving. So they are agreeing on this hypothesis or they are agreeing on this result. So they got the same result. So just quantify them. So study DEF has this other result. They have a different hypothesis. So they have different methodology. So group them accordingly. So it would really be of help when you are creating a research. So aside from saving them, you should group them accordingly. So this is label them accordingly. So those sources that will highly affect and will be the core basis of your research, which are our primary resources. So supporting documents, which are the secondary sources, and supplementary documents, which are the tertiary sources. So determine how you want to organize the review. So as mentioned, I have given an example, like if you want to group them based on the methodology that they have used, or you want to group them based on the hypothesis that they have come up with, or you may group them as a group, may it be locally from, for example, from the Philippines, or they might be from different countries or different region. So it would be up to you, and actually it would really depend on the topic of your choosing. So if it requires like okay, so if you want to prove a point like this is the result that you want to push forward with, or this is something that you believe in, definitely you would want to group your paper or group your sources into the result that has they have arrived in. Then if you are wanting to prove on a certain location or region, or a certain place that is relevant to your topic, definitely group it based on the location or region, may it be just in the Philippines or in Asia or across the globe. So materials to review. So basically, this is just a simple reminder of how we can quantify or qualify our materials. So basically, we have the general references, primary and secondary and tertiary. So basically, sometimes there are different factors wherein you can consider it as may it be a primary source, may it be a secondary source. But I think just to give you top of mind, primary sources are, of course, these are researches found on published journal. So basically, this is the source that would serve as the heart and soul of your RRL. So secondary source, definitely, this would support your argument with the primary sources that you are putting in. So this might be publications where authors cite the work of others and include books and encyclopedias. Then we have a tertiary source. These are sources basically index, abstract, organize, compile, or digest other sources. So basically, as mentioned, encyclopedia, it has like various sections in there, or maybe an atlas, or maybe an index of a specific topic, but in with different citations. So you may have that as a tertiary source. So some of the reference materials and textbooks are considered tertiary sources when their chief purpose is just to list, summarize, or simply repackage ideas or other information. So basically, when we cite a tertiary source, this is something that would help your argument that is based from your primary sources. So primary sources would still be the main point or main key of this one. So of course, so you got your sources, but make sure you get the background information about the problem and related concepts, theories that explain the existence of the problem and possible connection between certain factors and the problem, data that confirms the existence and seriousness of the problem, general and specific findings of studies related to the problem, and recommendations for further study given in related studies. So basically, these are the things that you would want to look at, especially when you are compiling or reading the sources that you have already. So give it a thought. So by writing a literature review, you as the author give readers and other researchers valuable insight on certain research topics. So you need to provide a constructive analysis of methods, research designs, techniques, and results for other researches. So basically, you want to highlight valuable academic sources and increase their visibility through citations. So basically, when you are writing a research paper, you need to consider yourself as a researcher because you are putting an effort to really prove a point. You want to really discover something else, and you want to get some of the ideas that might be present on several previous study or several locations that you want to have in contact with. So basically, this is something that most of the students, I think, that are missing. When you do research, it is something that you should give importance with, because when you finish a research paper, you have an opportunity or a chance to have it published and have it be published on several journals. And once it is published, definitely it is something that serves as a reward for yourself, because you have proven a point, they have acknowledged your study, and it is something now that other researchers can use. So I think you could really have that on your mind, especially when you're doing a research, because you have an opportunity to have your work published and have it a source as well of different researchers who might have a different study or would be planning to do a study on the same topic that you have pushed forward with. So of course, an effective way of writing your RRL is compare and contrast different perspectives on research subject, group authors who reach similar conclusions in their works, critical discussions limiting aspects of other works while also offering insights and ideas for improvement, showcase gaps in research that your study will address and help overcome, demonstrate how your academic publication is related to previous studies, and assess promising and noteworthy research designs, methods, and analysis. So I think when you are creating an RRL, this is something that you should have on top of your mind. So aside from stating this several factors from these studies, you really need to arrive a certain conclusion. So definitely you would want to arrive to a hypothesis or to finding that you would really want to make sure that is present into your location or present into the industry that you are writing a research paper. So technically, this is something that you want to consider as an important aspect, because when you write an RRL, it is something that that is something your the previous researches be in connection with what you are writing today. So of course, there should be cohesiveness, and make sure it is written concisely as well. So of course, choosing the right section. So as mentioned, our literature review is sometimes the longest of all the parts of the research, because you are putting all the information in there to prove your point. So basically, you need to divide it into sections accordingly and properly. So in organizing your literature review, focus with the main keywords and concepts and build up your sections accordingly. So a good place to start is by drawing a conceptual scheme of the review of related literature with mind mapping methods. So this type of diagram can assist in offering a logical approach to organize and link sections of your literature review. So this diagram or figure can also help you in writing the review, and it can also help the readers if it is included in the final paper. So sometimes some researchers are having a hard time, especially arriving into a conclusion or arriving into the hypothesis that they want to push forward with. So sometimes you could start with your top of mind hypothesis. Okay, with all of these sources that I have read and compiled, so I think this is the common points that they have. So these are the main hypotheses that they are using. So definitely you can write it down and put it in there, as many hypotheses as possible. So you could draw several diagrams or several hypotheses. So I think when you creating your research RRL, so it is something that okay, so you are writing it and you are going into the specifics as you reach to the hypothesis part. So you just need to cross out several diagrams until you arrive on, okay, so I think with all of this RRLs that I have written and with all of these references, it is pointing to this, for example, hypothesis A, B, and C as the strongest point. So you can now then push forward with that one. So next, if your research scholarly article is based on a model, a good idea is to organize your literature review section based on the hypothesis or concepts that models our relationship. So it also helps if the model is displayed as a figure at the end of the literature review. So after all the concept of connections has been examined, it is a good opportunity for you to check, okay, this is for example, section A, B, and C are talking about for example, proving point A, and proving point C is literature C, literature D, E, and F. So I think it is a good way to really just point it out and make sure that it is being separate and contrasting smoothly. And at the same time, you need to address, okay, this is the point of this one, this is the point of this one, and you are arriving to a certain conclusion. Because at the end of the day, when you write different arguments, you really need to take side because you would want to prove a point at the end of your research. So of course, we need to choose the right linking word. So I think it is a really common or a thing or basic thing that researchers or students maybe to really check on. So just check your linking words, because it would really be a big help of strengthening the relationship of various literature or published journals into making a point. So, of course, deepen your discussion. So, I always mention that a good result and discussion part contain adequate references to existing literature and studies. So, we are talking about like having multiple sources. And now, since you have these sources already, you just need to really put it out there, have it run consistently, concisely, and at the same time, make sure that you are proving a certain point. Since that you have grouped everything, it is much easier for you to do the discussion. And if you have this hypothesis in mind already, this is something that you want to really hold on from the beginning until the end of your research, because this is something that you would want to prove as your research goes forward. So this is a part of the research that I have shown you earlier. So basically, this highlighted text, so taken from Carrie Zabo. So basically, this has been the main idea or the main concept that we have pushed forward with our research. So basically, with all the research that we have done, so her research work has the same hypothesis that we want to prove in our study back then. So same. So these are the type of the hypotheses that you want to arrive in when you have finished or your review of related literature. So of course, research a simulacrum. So this is the diagram that you may want to push forward with the hypothesis that you have created. So basically, you could you have like pattern it to a research question if it is applicable as well into the line of study that you are doing. So basically, in a nutshell, your RRL is the very heart of your research. So most people are really pushing forward with the completion of RRL and have like enough sources because this is something that would really prove a point for your research study. So it is this one is a summary of all the things that we have discussed. And RRL, of course, gives a legitimacy to your research work. And we need to really put in mind that research is a process. It would really take a lot of time for us to create our research paper. And sometimes it might take long for one people. Sometimes it would be fast to another one. But we should always remember that it is a process and we should take it one step at a time. And for me, it is something that you need to set up your own timelines so that you could have more uh, time and more space to really check on what is really you are trying to say on the research paper. So what are you trying to prove on that one? So there, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we will proceed to the question and answer first question. Our first question is from May Frances Viernes. What is the tense of verb to use in writing the RRL?
Yeah, so basically, when we use tense, it should always be in the present tense, because it is you are writing a relevant research, so you always use the present tense. So this is something some of the researchers are having problem with because they are using past tense because these are previous studies as per them. But then one of my mentors back then that he reiterated that you should always write in the present tense, especially when you are writing your review of related literature, because it is something that you are reviewing in the present time.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next question is from Joseph Odelon Hermetanyo. Bakit po hindi nawawala ang mga thesis or thesis paper works kahit patapos ka na ay may mahirap pa pala na pagsubok sa iyong pag-aaral?
Mhm. Yeah, so I think all of us, especially college student, are kumbaga parang they are encountering creation of a research paper. So I think it is really important. So I think if you are a student, you can really see the importance of it, especially kahit ako din nung student pa ako, parang it is something that is really difficult. This is something the students are oftentimes having a hard time because it would really require a lot of effort. It would require a lot of tedious work because you are really creating something. You are really proving a point because this is something that you want to be published or you want to be recognized by peers or people in the industry or people in the niche that you are working on. So I think it is normal to feel that way, but I think beginnings are always the hardest. I always believe in that. So, but as long as you are pushing forward, step by step, little by little, especially when you finish it, it is something that is really a really good feeling that okay, natapos ko na siya. So this is something that that is something that I have accomplished. So I have finished the most difficult part of the study. So I think you just need to really create a timeline. So it is really time management and make sure that you have like as mentioned enough sources, because when you have like enough sources, you won't be stressing too much on creating your research paper.
Thank you very much, sir. Our last question is from JZZMNZ. Sir, gaano po ka-importante na yung chosen research title mo is connected sa course ninyo?
Yeah, so I think that would really be important, but I think that is in discretion as well of your research professor or your research instructor. So I think it should be related to your own field because that is something that is related to your course or program that you are taking with. Because when you choose a study or a topic that is outside your your course, it is something you would have like a difficult time of looking for a sources, because those people on your own department or your own institution in your campus, basically that is your number one support. So basically, when you are looking for something that is outside of this institution or this department, so you would be needing the support of those people outside of your institution. So I think it would always be best to look something that is inside, or that is similar to what you are studying in, because you are taking this course for the longest time. So usually, third year, fourth year, that is the time that you would be creating your research. So I think by that time, you are really wanting to push forward with the course or the program that you get in. So I think you should look for the topic that is related to what you are studying in.
Thank you very much, sir. That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today?
I think I would just say, I will just reiterate what I have said in the discussion. RRL makes your research work a legitimate one. So I think you should really go and look for a lot of sources. And at the same time, it is a process. So it would take time. So just have patience. So especially to all the researchers out there, especially those people who are not believing in research. So it is what they call this. These are educated activities. So you should really give kudos to those who are doing all the research that we are having at the moment. That's it, Jill.
There we have it. In behalf of Fibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this indeed very eye-opening and insightful learning
Bye.
session. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to all our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vival Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat